a time where they told you that if people showed up for you, that you were going to be killed?
Oh, sure. They said that right away because by the time the phone call had happened, the raid for Jessica Buchanan and Paul Tistad had already happened too. So they even mentioned that to me, and of course I had no idea what they were talking about. I had no news, you know. So I mentioned it to my mother on the phone. I said, they're talking about a raid, and they're saying if somebody else comes for me, I'm going to get shot dead. But, you know, those are already the terms of a kidnapping.
Right.
You know, that was not a big change in my situation. And my mom could tell me very little on the phone about the rescue, but she had something positive in her voice. She said, oh, yeah, the rescue. And I thought, that doesn't sound like the pirates, of course, told me the hostages had been killed. Like, that doesn't sound like it went bad. But it was still another month and a half or something before I found out the full story.
Jesus. 2.5 years? Is that what?
Yeah,
how long
2 years and 8 months.
God. Now, you ate with them? You got used to them?
Mm-hmm.
Did you almost become friends with them?
Sure. I became friends with, you know, half friends with about half the pirate guard group that was with me at that point. So I was held in a number of places. They also placed me on a tuna ship. I was placed on a ship hijacked by Somali pirates for about 5 months. And I think I'm the only Western writer to know life on a ship like that.
5 months?
Yeah, although for the full spring and summer of 2012.
Wow.
And then it was after that I was held on land alone with the guards. And that's when I got to know the guards.
You must have had this feeling like they're never going to find me. They're moving me around. They're putting me on a ship.
That was a problem. Especially when they put me on the ship, I felt like any progress the military had made in finding my location would have been completely reset. You know, I was terribly depressed when they first put me on the ship.
And you were there for 5 months.
Yeah, but once I was on the ship, I felt better because there were 28 other hostages, the crew of the ship, and they were great. It's always better to have company when you're a captive.
Yeah, so the other people that were running the ship when they captured it, they were there as well.
Yeah, and that was a crew of 28 guys from East Asia and Southeast Asia.
Did they speak English?
Only 5 of them. So 5 of them were from the Philippines, and we got along with them really good. Everyone else we had to get to know somehow, and the ship, they couldn't speak to each other either because it was like a Tower of Babel on the ship. And so they developed their own pidgin, which is what sailors have done for centuries. You know, it was a pidgin mixture of English and Chinese and a few other words.
Wow.
Yeah, that was fascinating.
Yeah, I could imagine. Now, as a writer, you had to be sort of like halfway torn. Like, God, if I get out of here, what a story.
Yeah. I knew I was, you know, living through interesting things and gathering good material. But after at least a year or so in captivity, I stopped hoping that I was going to get out alive. I mean, things were going so badly as far as the negotiation was concerned that I thought, I'm really in deep shit.
How did you eventually get freed?
So my mom raised a ransom. She raised it with help from family and friends and also some magazines I'd worked for and some institutions in the U.S. and Germany. And when she talked the pirates down to 1.6 million, then I got out. For some reason, at the very end, the pirates came down like precipitously.
The very end, after 2 years?
After they're holding on for I think they went down to 4 or 5 million or something like that. And then at the very end, they came down to what was on offer.